Hey, Tom Touchstone, we're still in our Heroes of the Faith study. And today I want to bring out a point in Exodus. Fire is something that is being used to cleanse things, purify, and God uses it as a way to catch our character Moses' attention. In Exodus 3, verse 2 through 4, it says, "And the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a blazing fire from the midst of a bush." Do you ever put your God in a box and say, only God can speak to me this way or that? Moses is having an experience, and he's back on the backside of the desert, doing what he's supposed to do, his job. He's shepherding his sheep. He's at his station. He's doing what he's supposed to do, and he has an encounter with God, or God finds him in there. It doesn't matter what you're trying to achieve. You can find God pretty much anywhere you want to. As people think that, hey, a building is a church, it's not. We're living in an era where the church is a place without walls. The internet, outside church we've went through with a lot of things that we've been going through lately. So don't put a box around God where he can speak to me here or he can't speak to me there. He can do a miracle in my life here or there. He is really good at the marketplace. God loves to work where you're at and what you're doing. Goes on to say, and he looked and he behold, the bush was on fire. It was burning, yet the bush was not being consumed. God has a way of going outside of our natural science, our outside of our building blocks, our knowledge, or even our thinking process. There was a bush that should have been consumed by the fire, but when God is doing things, sometimes things don't have to fit into our criteria of how we would see God do something. But it comes on and Moses says, I must turn aside and see this marvelous sight. He recognized this for something that was unusual. As we're in life, we're praying for God to do a miracle or God to perform something. I remember when I took a computer into my wife's doctor's appointment, and my wife had asked me to leave it outside, and I was like, no, because I just don't know how long the appointment will take. But I brought it inside, and my wife's doctor was interested in pictures that I had on the computer. It's a whole nother story, but it was crazy. My wife doesn't tell me, don't bring my computer in. He can use things beyond what we imagine he can. But as the bush was not burning up, when the Lord saw that he had turned aside to look, God called him. Sometimes as you're going through something, and this may be something easy for everybody to think about, sometimes when you're on the side of the road, you might see a guy and you've never given money to that person, but all of a sudden you're realizing, I'm looking aside, I'm looking to see if God's in this. We tell people to test all of that stuff. Sometimes you're being had, sometimes you're not. But you should be able to test this thing. One time when Pastor Ron thought I was going to go to Colorado to start the church there. My wife's like, it's not you, Tom, but I'll go. I went there, turned aside to it, and Charlie Garcia goes, Tom, it's not you. And I'm like, it's not me. So sometimes God gets your attention and you're looking a certain way, and then it's like, bam, I got you. As Moses is out there in the desert doing his job, realizing he's got a God encounter. 2 Chronicles says it this way. The Lord keeps close watch over the whole world to give strength to those whose whole heart is loyal to him. As you look through that, Moses was saying, I'm feeling God in this. Our motives sometimes reveal who we are living for, the things we care about. When God searches our heart, he can see the why and behind our thoughts and our choices. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. So as Moses is there, God's direction is going to lead him in a place, but God is telling him, I am, that's my name. So it's whatever he's needing, I am there in that present moment to help him. Moses isn't getting it yet. He's getting instructions. He's been told to take off his shoes. He's on holy ground. A lot of people will take this a little too far. For Moses, this mountain was something and will be something more in the future. So we have to be able to realize that our faith demands obedience. And that's what God was doing in Moses' life. I remember there was something I was doing on the internet, and it was basically, had a choice to quit, and I felt don't quit. Do you know if you take the word don't quit and you take the first two letters of don't, and the last two letters of quit, it says do it. I thought, you know what, God, I'm going to test you. So I asked the Lord to show if what I was doing, it was called the lunch break show. I was doing with J2. I lost J2. And I had an idea, but I want to know it was him. I have a friend named David Netto, and he's in the Air Force. And he texts me 2 minutes after I said, Lord, I want to know if I'm doing this from you. David Netto texts me. If you're at Northwest, I can introduce you to him when he gets back from the service. And he said, hey, Tom, I'm doing well. I'm getting ready to graduate. And I was like, oh, that's great. And he goes, and I met a guy in my class. It was 5 people. He's in technology. And he said, I started talking about you, and I got a guy in class that said, I know him. I watched his show. They brought on Lunch Break, and he goes, I watched Lunch Break, and he's from Mississippi. What? That's a God story. So I realized that God was moving in that. So I'm not going to quit where I take my own advice. Don't quit. It says do it. I kept doing it. Had a different plan, different idea. So whatever you're out there doing, Moses didn't quit. He kept pushing forward. He had a lot of questions for God. It's okay to question what God has you doing, because he loves to answer your questions, and the miracles are in the answer to the questions. Moses was full of them. I can't speak right, which I identify with. I take my brother. Moses, God's like, I love that you can't speak, and I will take your brother. And he said, go out. Now, this is the one thing that really got me. Moses said, how will I know it's you? God says, when you return to this mountain, and the people from Egypt are with you, you know it's me. Man, wouldn't you like to know it's him before you get out there and start doing it? God's like, when you return, and when you're standing here and they're in front of you, you will know it's me. Start your journey. Do it right where you're at. Notice what God's doing. Hey, Tom Touchstone, take care. God bless.